Going to the dentist is a trip that most kids, most adults for that matter, dread.
Mercury is one of the most toxic elements.
No dentists want to see children on Medicaid.
I've been to the ER 3 times within the last 6 months.
Are corporate chains filling a gap?
Smile now and pay later.
Or taking advantage of people in pain?
After that dental work, I got out of bed one morning and could not walk.
The sudden death of an 8-year-old little girl during a cavity filling is drawing attention to a threat far scarier than any drill.
I've never seen levels of mercury this high.
Did you abuse the children in your practice, sir?
Now more than 50 families claim that Dr. Schneider abused their kids.
Over and over again, Trish Wolverine noticed little blue dots trapped in people's gums and teeth. She reached out to other hygienists who saw the same thing. Eventually, they figured out the culprit, polyethylene.
From a father's standpoint, I don't want my kids swallowing plastic.
For 8-year-old Raven, it was a routine trip to the dentist for a cavity and a cleaning.
She wanted to have pretty teeth.
5-year-old Diamond needed some cavities filled and teeth capped.
Later that day, she was going to attend a princess party.
But like more than a dozen other children across the country, the trip to the dentist would lead to death.
Silver mercury fillings are causing disease, and they are making people sick, keeping them sick.
Hey guys, it's me, Comrade Lavender here, and I'm back with another anti-capitalism deep dive video. Today I'm going to be doing the pure evil of the dentistry and teeth and toothpaste industry files and everything that has to do with teeth. So let's get started into this true crime and science video. But before we get started, I'm going to put all my YouTube videos that are related to this topic on the screen right now if you'd like to check them out. So let's get started into this YouTube video. Dental care can be a matter of life and death. A visit to the dentist's office due to capitalism, the system putting profits over the lives of people, animals, and Mother Earth herself. An investigation by PBS Frontline and the Center for Public Integrity reveals the shocking consequences of a broken safety net. Poor children entitled to dental care often cannot find a dentist willing to see them. Other kids receive excessive care billed to Medicaid or major surgery for preventable tooth infections. For adults with dental disease, the situation can be just as dire and bankrupting as well. While millions of Americans use emergency rooms for dental care at a cost of more than $500 million, corporate dental chains are filling the gaps in care. In some cases, allegedly overcharging patients or loading them with high-priced credit card debt. Poorly trained and greedy dentists blamed for the deaths of 31 children across the U.S. by talking their parents into dangerous and expensive sedations. Children across the U.S. are being unnecessarily put at risk by poorly trained dentists looking to increase their profits by sedating young patients for routine treatments. Some dentists have had as little as 2 days training in safe sedation, which adds tens of thousands of dollars to the charge of the treatment. In some cases, dentists across the U.S. are administering oral sedatives on patients as young as 18 months old, and one Virginia-based foundation has compiled figures that suggest 31 children have died during or after dental treatment in the last 15 years alone. The Raven Maria Blanco Foundation was founded by Robin and Mario Blanco after the 2007 death of their 18-year-old daughter, Raven Blanco, at the dentist under sedation during a routine dental procedure. An investigation by the Virginia Board of Dentistry into the dentist Dr. Michael Hedgehoff discovered that the little girl was given 3 times the average range of sedatives normally given to a child of her weight and size and normal health. The autopsy for the child revealed that she had a blood concentration of 24 milligrams/L of chloral hydrate, which is the medical examiner considered to be a lethal dose. House of Horrors. Dentist Dr. Howard Schneider of Jacksonville, Florida, performed unnecessary procedures on low-income children without anesthetic while collecting millions from Medicaid. More than 100 families in Jacksonville have come forward alleging that Howard Schneider tortured his young patients and the children, pulling healthy teeth when he didn't need to and doing other unnecessary dental work and procedures. and other parents of children who were in the care of the dentist, who faces several lawsuits, also claim their children often came home with bruises and cuts on their necks. Last November, he was arrested and charged with 11 counts of Medicaid provider fraud and 1 count of scheming with intent to defraud, according to ABC News. Last year, following a public outcry after allegations came forward, he voluntarily surrendered his license to practice dentistry, which reportedly allowed him to avoid a full dental board investigation. A mother who filed a lawsuit against Schneider recounted how her 6-year-old daughter had gone to him to have 1 tooth removed, but that her daughter left with 7 teeth pulled, as well as bruises on her neck and face. She also told her mom that Schneider hit and choked her while she was at his office. Schneider was the only pediatric dentist in Jacksonville who took Medicaid, so his practice attracted poor clients. According to the lawsuit, he is also accused of wearing scary costumes and threatening the children with statements like, "Your mom will die if you tell her what happened." Families speak out against rogue dentists who filed nursing home residents' teeth down without giving them an anesthetic so he could exploit them for cash surgery they didn't need. Sydney dentist Andrew Istephan would visit nursing homes and prey on elderly, dementia, and Alzheimer sufferers by grinding down the teeth of patients without giving them any pain relief. He was found guilty of the 5 counts of assault in 2013, and he also pleaded guilty to 3 assault actually bodily harm charges.
I make an appointment, I go in. So I get to Smile Dental Center 32 in Miami. The first thing I realized is that it's ghetto. Like, just period. It was kind of ghetto. Like, it was hella people in there. So they had me sitting in there like a freaking, what is it, a conveyor belt. Just people, just patients going in, coming out, going in, coming out. They're not even talking about my mouth. Keep in mind, I'm in so much pain that I am sitting there crying. Not one of them had no empathy. They didn't give a f. They did not care that I was sitting in that chair, crying my eyes out in hella pain. And I'm like, these teeth feel weird as fuck. Like, I'm like, why do they feel like this in my mouth? Like, there's hella like ridges and like bumps and like lumps in the back of my teeth. And I'm like, my tongue is touching and I'm like, what the, like, this is not how they're supposed to feel. They never call me. They never reach out to me. I end up flying back to LA because I'm like, I have things to do. Smile Dental Center 32 in Miami put veneers over cavities in my mouth, and the teeth are not even bonded properly, which means they are not even attached all the way to my teeth. And I will insert the x-ray so that you can see the teeth not bonded properly. I will insert a picture now of how it is supposed to look. He's like, oh, well, there's nothing I can tell you and there's nothing we can do. Like, that's just what it is. I'm bawling, crying when I tell you this motherfucker had no zero emotion in his voice, no empathy, no nothing. The way that you guys are treating me, I'm going to make sure that the world knows how you guys are treating me. He literally says, I don't care, go ahead and do what you want to do. I am going through the most dark physical experience that I have ever gone through. And these people are sick with zero empathy. They do not care what they have done to me. I have nerve damage, which I call my sensory issues, but I have nerve damage, which at this time we did not know what kind of nerve damage it was because it's extremely rare. So I have this like mystery ass nerve damage. My mouth hurts every day. I have TMJ issues. I'm getting acupuncture and they tell me that they will not give me my money back unless I let them drill my teeth off. And I say, have you lost your f***ing mind? So hundreds of people reach out to me with their horror stories about their experience at Dental Center, Smile Dental Center 32. Nah, cause y'all got me messed up. I've given you $12,000, and I should have got up and ran. I mean, the damage is already done, but I should have got up and ran. But I am not the only person who has gone through this. Obviously, when I post on social media like of what these people have done to me, my fans start DMing them, and they are responding to my fans' DMs saying that I am trying to scam for free veneers and I just want my money back. And they're saying that I do this all the time. two different companies. And I will insert those screenshots of Smile Dental Center 32 in Miami responding to DMs about me saying that I am just trying to scam them for free teeth. I will insert those DMs now.
Evidence of Harm, a scientific documentary, sheds light on why mercury should not be used in dentistry. Mercury is a known radioactive neurotoxin carcinogen used in many industries such as dentistry and types of mining such as coal mining or gold mining. The federal agencies limit its exposure to humans because of how these poisonous substances it is to people's health and the ecosystem's health and overall biodiversity. Yet the dental industry has used silver fillings which contain almost 50% mercury in people's mouth for over 150 years. Evidence of Harm uses personal accounts, scientific evidence, and the history of mercuries to showcase why. This reason is why this is still happening is because of greed, and they are working with Big Pharma to keep you sick. Because if you get sick, who is going to benefit the most from all this? Randall Moore, a filmmaker from Kansas, became interested in the issue when his father became ill with Alzheimer's disease. After much research, Moore discovered that mercury fillings, otherwise known as silver fillings, had been linked to Alzheimer's disease, and his father had a mouthful of them. The health complications from this mercury poisoning widely range in different people, making the diagnosis difficult. Many people who suffer from heavy metal toxicity and exhibit symptoms such as low energy levels, headaches, digestive issues, throat and mouth issues, and the list continues. The filmmaker highlights the fact that the victims of mercury poisoning will often feel crazy because many doctors will tell them there's nothing wrong with them, and families don't understand. Children of color and low-income kids still receive unsafe levels of mercury-based dental fillings. It has been more than a year since the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, asked dentists to stop using amalgam, the familiar silver-colored material used to fill cavities in children and other high-risk groups' teeth. That's become amalgam contains 50% mercury. Again, it's a well-known radioactive carcinogen toxin. The data on the extent of amalgam used in the U.S. are sparse and out of date, but the presence of dentistry and other dentist experiences as dental and medical professionals, they have seen that Black, Latino, Indigenous, Asian, and low-income kids are more likely to get mercury-based tooth fillings than their more affluent, white, rich counterparts. Indeed, low-income kids of color are more likely to get dental care through Medicaid and other governmental programs that still use amalgam than any other insurance stores. In states, Georgia, Kentucky, and West Virginia, Medicaid will only pay for amalgam and not the significantly more expensive alternatives. The Indian Health Service is gradually phasing out amalgam but continues to use mercury-based fillings, even in very small children. Also, many low-income kids get their fillings at dental school clinics where amalgam is still part of the curriculum and clinical requirements. In the U.S., the decision to use amalgam is left to the discretion of dental providers, allowing racial bias to be put on the thumb on the scale. We know that biases play a huge role in whether black patients receive pain medication because of the racist myth that black people feel less pain than white people, and also contributes to racial disparities in health outcomes. Mercury-based fillings add to an already heavy burden of toxins for children of color from all income levels. Black children who are more likely to live near environmental racism areas, such as coal-fired power plants, fracking, and other polluting facilities, already have a much higher levels of lead and mercury in their bodies than white kids. They don't need any more mercury from amalgam. Now on to the environmental effect of this industry from the environment and pollution. Dentists discharge approximately 5.1 tons of mercury each year. Most of this mercury is subsequently released into the environment. Heavy metals, such as mercury and lead, bioaccumulate in the food chain and go up the food chain in animals, people, plants, etc., which is extremely harmful to the ecosystem and biodiversity as a whole, causing extinction and biodiversity loss. 1.5 billion toothpaste tubes are discarded worldwide each year into the environment, and those tubes end up in landfills or worse, in our precious oceans, spreading microplastics everywhere. 10 million tons of plastic and microplastics are dumped into our ocean annually. That's the equivalent and equal to more than a garbage truckload every minute. Dentist who dumped medical waste in Jersey Shore waters avoids prison term. A Pennsylvania dentist was sentenced to 4 years of probation for dumping medical waste into the Atlantic Ocean in Cape May County, forcing beaches in Avalon to close for 5 days. Thomas McFarland, 61, of Weenwood, Pennsylvania, also paid $100,000 as restitution for its cleanup costs and for environmental projects. The dentist pleaded guilty to unlawful discharge of water pollutants that are a biohazard. The waste includes 260 needles, 180 cotton swabs, and several capsules that held filling material. Brilliant Blue, FCF, is a colorant in toothpaste, in this case coloring your toothpaste blue. It's a common ingredient used by the brand Colgate. It's also used in other cosmetics, food, and pharmaceutical products. One thing about the substance is that it's very harmful to marine life. It's a harmful substance that remains in water even after passing through sewage systems. A small amount of the toothpaste may not hurt, but when people use it, which they do, it can have devastating effects on marine life and the marine ecosystem environment. Helda in Pink has been found to be very toxic to marine life as well. It is present in all kinds of toothpaste, including Aquafresh, as a colorant similar to Brilliant Blue, FCF. This poisonous substance remains in our soil for well over a year before it fully degrades, meaning it is always present in the environment as more is constantly added. A final example, but possibly the most extreme, is sodium pyrophosphate. This substance contains phosphor, which builds up in algae growth in both our sewage systems and in the water at the end of the sewage line. A buildup of algae causes an increase of CO2 being released into the water supply, creating a dead zone, aka dead spot. This means fish and other animals that live there will slowly suffocate and die. No life will exist in these dead zones. In the latest report by Cornucopia Institute, an organic industry watchdog, uncovers serious problems in the cosmetics industry regulations. Regulatory weaknesses and loopholes allow for the use of questionable, even harmful ingredients in personal care products, such as toothpaste, that could negatively impact the health of the users. Behind the dazzling smile, toxic ingredients in your toothpaste describes how the report spotlights dangerous iridine disruptors, inflammatory agents, and carcinogens found in popular toothpaste brands and marketed as natural. The Cornucopia Institute, an organic industry watchdog, began investigating the toothpaste as an extension of their work, focusing on the potentially carcinogenic food additive carcinogen. Carcinogen is a non-necessity additive that reliably produces inflammation in the body, and yet is still commonly found in organic foods. It is also found in natural brands of toothpaste. Cornucopia found that even many of the toothpastes that claim to be natural and sold at premium prices contain dangerous levels of chemicals, including iridine disruptors and carcinogens. Slick packaging and misleading health claims are among a variety of marketing ploys used to induce customers to purchase oral care products that in reality may be very detrimental to their health. Some of the hazardous ingredients and contaminants found in toothpastes are irritants, allergens, endocrine disruptors, or carcinogens. Scientists at Cornucopia found the majority of well-known natural toothpaste brands, such as Tom's of Maine, Jason, Desert Essence, and Kiss My Face, certain carcinogens, a non-nutritive thickening and emulsifying agent extracted from seaweed. Peer-reviewed published research has established that food-grade carcinogen has the potential to cause intestinal inflammation, diabetes, and even cancer. The report emphasizes, considering that the oral medusa is one of the most absorbent areas of the body, it is certainly not desirable to use toothpastes containing potentially carcinogens and toxic contaminants that may pass directly into the bloodstream from the mouth environment. It's not just these so-called organic natural brands either. It could also be dangerous to buy off-brand toothpastes or mainstream brands at the dollar store and other stores. ABC 7 New York reported in 2009 that some dollar stores have sold toothpaste tainted with chemical toxins, including the toxic chemical diphthagate glycol, which can be poisonous to people. Here are some other true crime cases that involve racism when it comes to teeth and dental care. In the 1930s, a 23-year-old black man was admitted to the city hospital in St. Louis, and according to his death certificate, he died of pneumonia shortly after. Without his consent or his family's consent, his body was included in one of the United States' most studied collection of human remains, the Robert J. Terry Anatomical Skeleton Collection, which is now at the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of Natural History. Almost a century later, a team of researchers have been able to confirm the pathogen that ultimately killed him by studying the plaque on his teeth, an achievement that opens new avenues for studying diseases of the past that may leave no other mark after death. In their paper, published last month in Communications Biology, researchers also took steps to address the complex issue of ethics in which now nameless man lived, including how structural racism contributed to his death, and helped build the collection itself. The idea of using dental calculus or hard plaque to study diseases from the past is nothing new. Accumulated over a lifetime, calculus doesn't decay after death and holds on to everything, from traces of food, such as milk proteins, to fragments of bacterial DNA. In 2015, molecular anthropologist Courtney Offman of the University of Oklahoma decided to see whether calculus can reveal the cause of death, including so-called invisible diseases such as pneumonia, which don't leave any markings in bones and are often misdiagnosed in historical documents. Hoffman began by scraping the dental calculus of several individuals who have been diagnosed with tuberculosis, syphilis, and pneumonia. Austin, then at the NMNH and the University of Oklahoma, later sequenced the DNA traces that the dental calculus contained to make a profile of the bacteria that once lived in their mouths. What she found in one individual, one the team named St. Louis individual, stood out: a diverse collection of microbes, the most abundant of which, such as Anacabar nosocemus and Clostridium pneumonia, commonly cause pneumonia, and hospital infections even today. They were direct evidence of the pneumonia that killed the man, according to his death certificate, but the researchers felt an obligation to probe further into this investigation into the life of the victim that was called St. Louis individual. We didn't come to the Terry collection thinking it was neutral, Zuckerman says. Given the way Robert J. Terry, a professor of anatomy at Washington University in St. Louis, went about building the collection that now bears his name, taking advantage of the lack of legal protections for marginalized people and groups. In the 19th and early 20th century, he amassed thousands of dead bodies of people who died in public institutions in St. Louis, most of them poor or institutionalized, and whose families didn't claim them within 36 hours after death. These individuals, who went through a process where their identity was stripped from them, Del La Cova says, from the beginning they were dehumanized. More than half of the individuals in the Terry collection are black people. They hope to bring some of the St. Louis individual's life history and story to light, previously obscured and erased, into the broader recognition, fostering a shared remembrance of him and others in the Terry collection with similar experiences. The team found, for example, that his skeleton showed many telltale signs of a hard life. He had a fractured jaw that had healed poorly, a possible sign of physical violence, several cavities, missing teeth, abscesses in the mouth, gingivitis, and more. All signs of poor health. His skeleton also shows signs of a TB infection, although the researchers didn't find traces of the bacterium that causes the disease in the plaque. So the researchers supplemented the research with a review of the historical documents. They used newspaper clippings to reconstruct the medical context of the 1930s St. Louis, including how black people would often delay seeking medical treatment and care because of the distrust of the medical institutions, and how conditions at City Hospital were reportedly worse than the local zoo. According to a 1924 article in the Pittsburgh Courier, Jim Crow laws and local anti-black political violence also likely worsened things for people alive. Life was psychologically stressful, the researchers write, which could have made him more vulnerable to fatal pneumonia and other diseases. Even then, it was considered a rare cause of death for young men before widespread antibiotic use. Zuckerman says, these very injustices, the research said, allowed his body to end up in the Terry collection at this museum. One of the best-selling toothpastes in Southeast Asia is a brand called Darkie. The tube bears the caricature of a racist, bug-eyed, grinning black man in minstrel garb. It is racially offensive and racist, and the American company that for 4 years has owned 50% of Darkie's, Colgate Co. In 1986, Colgate paid over $50 million for 50% ownership and stake of Howdy and Hazel, the company whose lone product is Darkie. The toothpaste had been sold in Southeast Asia for over 60 years. Ever since its founder fell in love with it, and the article of this came out in 1990, Colgate reports revenue at the time of $5 billion a year. This is just another instance of racism in the toothpaste and dental industry.